The Miryang Nightmare, a true story of horror and betrayal. Imagine being 14 years old, trusting someone you met online, and walking straight into a trap that changes your life forever. That's what happened in 2004 to a teenage girl in Miryang, South Korea, a small city where a horrifying crime unfolded, one that lasted nearly a year and exposed the darkest failures of justice. This isn't just a tragic tale, it's a chilling reminder of how a system can abandon the very people it's supposed to protect. Let's dive into this story. A nightmare that began with a simple phone call and ended with a fight for survival that's still echoing today. Her name has never been fully revealed, but we'll call her Soyeon for this telling, a placeholder for a girl whose identity was cruelly stripped away. Soyeon was 14, living in Miryang with her family when everything started. Life wasn't easy for her, even before the horror began. Her family was poor, barely getting by. Her father, a violent alcoholic, made home a battlefield. He'd come home drunk, unleashing his fury on Soyeon's mother with fists and words. When Soyeon tried to shield her mom, she became the target instead. In January 2003, her mother finally escaped, divorcing her husband and leaving Soyeon and her younger siblings behind with their abusive father. At 14, Soyeon was alone, trapped in a house where love was replaced by fear. Desperate for a lifeline, Soyeon turned to the internet. One day, she dialed a wrong number by mistake and ended up talking to a boy named Park, a high schooler who seemed kind and attentive. They started chatting online, and over time he became a rare bright spot in her life. After weeks of messages, Park invited her to meet him in Miryang, about an hour from her home in Ulsan. Naive and hopeful, she agreed, thinking it might be a chance to escape her misery. But Park wasn't a friend. He was a predator, tied to a notorious gang of teenage boys known for terrorizing others. The moment Soyeon arrived, her world turned upside down. What happened next was beyond comprehension. Park attacked her with an iron pipe, knocking her out cold. When she woke up, she was in a motel, surrounded by Park and his crew, 44 high school boys. Some say as many as 120 were involved over time. They didn't just assault her, they tortured her, humiliated her, and recorded every second of it on their phones and camcorders. They laughed as they inflicted pain, treating the footage like a trophy. For 11 agonizing months, they dragged her from place to place, motels, playgrounds, dorms, even tennis courts, repeating the abuse over and over. They used objects to hurt her, leaving injuries so severe she'd need medical care for years. And they didn't stop there. Some of the boys' girlfriends joined in, holding cameras instead of helping her. The recordings became their weapon. They blackmailed Soyeon, threatening to leak the videos if she didn't obey. Terrified of the shame it would bring, she stayed silent, even when they forced her to lure other girls into their trap. Her younger sister and cousin became victims too, assaulted and robbed of their belongings, gold rings, cash, anything the gang could take. Soyeon was caught in a living hell, abused by these boys outside and beaten by her father at home. She couldn't tell him what was happening. He'd only blame her, maybe hurt her worse. So she suffered alone, month after month, her spirit breaking under the weight of it all. But someone finally noticed. In late 2004, Soyeon's aunt saw the change in her, how she'd grown quiet, distant, unstable. After pushing her to talk, Soyeon collapsed in tears, spilling the truth about the nightmare she'd endured. Her aunt acted fast, telling Soyeon's mother, who called the police. You'd think this would be the moment everything turned around, the point where justice stepped in to save her. But that's not what happened. Instead, it was the start of a second betrayal, one that cut even deeper. The police promised to protect her identity and handle the case with sensitivity. That promise lasted less than 2 weeks. On December 6, 2004, they launched a massive arrest, rounding up 44 suspects at the Ulsan Nambu police station. The story exploded in the media, and Soyeon's personal details, her surname, age, and where she lived, were leaked to the public. Her private pain was now a headline, her shame laid bare for everyone to see. The investigation only made it worse. Instead of female officers as promised, male cops interrogated her, their questions dripping with scorn. "Didn't you enjoy it?" they sneered. "What did you do to make them want you?" One officer even said, "You've ruined Miryang's reputation. These boys were our future, and now they're in jail because of you." She was forced to stand face to face with her attackers, no glass between them, as they smirked and denied it all. The humiliation was unbearable. She broke down, sobbing while they watched. It didn't end with the police. Soyeon's sister and cousin, also victims, were dragged into the mess, questioned for hours like they were the criminals. The community turned against them too. Parents of the accused harassed Soyeon's family, blaming her for seducing their sons. One mother went on TV saying, "Why should we apologize? Girls need to learn how to behave so this doesn't happen." Even some officers were caught laughing about Soyeon at a hostess bar, joking about how disgusting she was. When a hostess tipped off Soyeon's family, public outrage erupted. Women's groups and activists protested, forcing the police to replace the original team with new investigators, including women. But the damage was done. Soyeon's trust in the system was gone. In January 2005, Soyeon, her sister, and their mother fled to Seoul, hoping for a fresh start. Physically, Soyeon was a wreck. Her injuries left her with chronic pain and long-term health issues. Mentally, she was broken, battling severe depression, PTSD, and suicidal urges. She'd cry for hours, telling doctors she wanted to die. Her father, still in Miryang, made it worse. He took 50 million yen, about $366,000, from the attackers' families to push for leniency, pressuring Soyeon to sign a settlement while she was hospitalized. Desperate to escape the psychiatric ward, she gave in, but saw none of the money. Her father kept it, renting a house and splitting the rest with his relatives. Most of the perpetrators walked free. Only 5 faced juvenile detention. None saw real prison time. Life in Seoul was no easier. Schools rejected Soyeon because of the scandal. She finally enrolled in one after months of begging, but an attacker's mother showed up, demanding she help her son in detention. Soyeon fled to the bathroom, shaking, and the woman followed, causing a scene. Unable to cope, Soyeon dropped out. She drifted, working odd jobs, binge eating, and sinking deeper into despair. Her abusers, meanwhile, moved on. Some got jobs, others started families, acting like nothing happened. For 20 years, it seemed like justice would never come. Then, in June 2024, a YouTube channel called Narek Archive dropped a bombshell. They exposed Park, the ringleader, now in his 30s, living a cozy life with a wife and daughter, working at a restaurant featured by a famous chef. The internet erupted. People tanked the restaurant with 1-star reviews until it shut down. Another perpetrator, Shin, flaunted luxury cars online until his workplace fired him under public pressure. A third, a police sergeant, faced backlash when her past surfaced. Some issued shaky apologies on YouTube, claiming remorse, but many doubted their sincerity. Were they sorry, or just sorry they got caught? Soyeon finally spoke out in 2024. She said the public support made her feel less alone, but she's still haunted. Depression hits hard, and the pain never fully leaves. She hopes this isn't just a fleeting outrage, because when the world moves on, she's the one left carrying the scars. This case isn't just about one girl. It's about a system that failed her at every turn and a society that took decades to care. What do you think? Did the internet deliver the justice she deserved, or did it go too far? Drop your thoughts below, and if this story shook you, stick around. There's more where this came from.